Hello and welcome to this week's broadcast. Whenever I hear a sermon, whenever I read a book or read a scripture, I always like to think about it in terms of my everyday occurrences. It might be the teacher in me, but I always like to paint a picture to bring it home by drawing an analogy. And as I read this week's email that was sent by Pastor Agatha, what came to mind was a football match. Okay, I know some of us do not like football. Some of us don't even know how it is played. So let me help you here. I'm not going to say that I'm a football fan, but at least I understand the rules of the game. So it is played over a 90-minute period. There will be two teams, and each session or each half is 45 minutes. And the person that scores the most goals is the winner. Sometimes they have something called extra time. So after the set 90 minutes, sometimes because of things that have happened in the game, they let it go on for a little bit longer. And I remember even years past, they used to talk about a particular popular manager that he had his own special time, that the extra time they gave his team used to be a lot longer. But hey, that's not what we're talking about today. What I'm saying is that there was a rule, there is a rule, a set rule that it should last 90 minutes, but sometimes it goes beyond 90 minutes. And because I'm not really a football fan and my husband loves football, so I get to come in at the end of the match, just stroll in and watch the interesting bit. And the ones I like best is, let's say there's a draw and everybody thinks stalemate. And then they bring up the board and they say time up, or they, give maybe 2 minutes extra time. And in that extra time, because the players keep pushing and keep playing like they still have all the time in the world, or playing like they want to win, they score a goal and the whole stadium just goes, wow, and people shout and excitement because they have defied the odds. They have done something spectacular by scoring when the set time had passed. And this is what I want to say to us today. When is it over? When do we call it quits? At 90 minutes? Because the rule says 90 minutes? Or do we keep pushing, believing that despite what is happening around us, despite what we see, we can still get the victory? Can I suggest to you today that it is not over until you reach that glorious outcome? And some of you might be saying, oh, Doyin, but I'm going through fire, I'm going through stress, so many trials and all that. And what comes to mind was a scripture that my friend and I were talking about yesterday, Daniel chapter 3, when he talked about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These young men had been thrown into the fiery furnace. And for them, some could have said, oh, this is the end. They've come to the end of the road. But the Bible talks about the mighty deliverance that was wrought on this young man's life. And I like the end of verse 27 that says that when they came out, there was no smell of smoke on them. I'll say that again. There was no smell of smoke on them. So not only did they defy the odds, not only did they come through the trials, but there was nothing marked on them, nothing that showed that they had been through fire. Why? They chose to trust. They chose to keep going on till the very end. And I want to set this to you, suggest this to you today, and say that do not sign off. Do not believe the end is here. Keep pushing, keep pressing until you get to that glorious outcome. And I believe in standing in agreement with you that regardless of what has happened in your life, there will be no smell of smoke and you will come through victorious. Have a fantastic week. And if you're not yet subscribed to our mailing list, please scroll to the end of the description if you're watching on YouTube and click on the link to subscribe. Alternatively, you can send an email to prayerbootcamp@oasisfoundation.org. Have a fabulous week.